Hi viewers, I am Dr.T.DEVIKA, Assistant Professor of English, A.D.M. College for Women, Autonomous, Nagapattinam. Let's see Toru Sita. Toru Dutt was an Indian poet born in the Bengal province in 1856 to the well-known Rampagan Dutt family. As the youngest child of Govind Chandra Dutt and Kasatmoni Nature, Toru belonged to a family of writers. Her father, Govind Chandra Dutt, who was an employee of the government of India, was a linguist and also published some poems. Her mother, Kasarmuni Mitra, was a woman who loved Hindu mythology and translated the book The Blood of Christ into Bengali. Because of her father's governmental employment, the family traveled frequently. Let's see the historical background of Toru Dutt's Sita. Dutt's poem Sita was published in Ancient Ballads and Legends of Hindustan. It was published posthumously in 1882 with an introductory memoir of Dutt by A.D.M.COLLEGE, an English poet and critic. The ballads are Indian in genre and outlook, though this poem Dutt attempts to reveal her longing for her land. She does not ever anticipates her ideas, but keeps close to the ethics and integrity of the original tale. In this poem, Dutt shares a personal childhood story. She was the youngest child of three, after sister Raru and brother Arjun. They spent most of their childhood in Calcutta and learned stories of ancient India from their mother. Even after her return from Europe, she restored to her mother's stories and songs about India. Sita appears in Toru Dutt's posthumous poetry collections, Ancient Ballads and Legends of Hindustan. This poem presents a nostalgic story of Dutt's childhood and how she becomes emotional while hearing the heart-touching Sanskrit mythological tales from her mother. Though the title of poem alludes to the heroine of the Hindu epic Ramayana, this poem is based on the reaction of three children after listening to the second exile story of Sita. That uses vivid descriptions of the characters' surroundings in order to portray the lush, enriching landscape of India. Now let's see the Toru Dutt's Sita poem. Three happy children in dark and gloom. What do they gasp on with wide open eyes? A dense forest where no sunbeam strikes. Gigantic flowers on creepers that embrace. Tall trees there in a quiet lucid lake. The white swans fly, there wiring from the break. The peacocks spring, their care of wild bee raise. Their patches gleam with yellow waving trains. There, 12 in peace, the poet anchorite. But who is in this fair lady? Not in vain. She weeps, for lo, at every tear she sheds. Tears from three pairs of young eyes follow mine, unbowed in sorrow, and the three young heads. It's an old story, and the name, which has evoked sad Sita from the past, is by a mother's son, which hurts the lost and melts the picture from their sight away. Yet shall they dream of until the day when shall those children by their mother's side gather a me and us at eventide. Now let's line by line analysis and explanations. First line 1 and 2. Three happy children in a darkened room. What do they gaze under with wide open eyes? The first two lines of the poem directly introduce the plot to readers. There are three children who are happy inside their darkened room. The idea somehow sounds paradoxical. How can children be happy in darkness? Primarily, children fear the darkness, but their face shows something else to create more suspense. That's supposed to have inspiring image that grabs the children's attention. She uses the hyperbolic expressions, wide open eyes, in order to portray their amazement. After reading the first two lines, it is not clear what they are doing and gazing at. Now lines 3 to 11. A dense forest where no sunbeam strikes. Gigantic flowers and creepers that impress, tall trees carrying a quiet music lake. The white swans fly, their wiring from the break. The peacock springs, their lights wild deer race. Their patches gleam with yellow waving grain. That dwells in peace, the quiet anchorite. In the following lines of Sita, that's portrayed a dense forest where sunlight sparsely enters. She uses the repetitions of the term dense to describe how thick the forest is. It is so packed up with the trees that the sunbeam cannot even enter through the dense leaves covering it like a dome. In the center of her image, there is a tree spot where probably the central character sits. Surrounding her feet, huge flowers bloom on creepers. Those plants impress tall trees. In tall trees, that uses alliterations on of the T sound. Besides the creeper and the tall tree are symbols of Sita and Rama respectively. That uses this symbol also in her poem, Our Casuarina Tree. This metaphorical image also portrays the poet's attachment to her childhood days. There is a quiet and lucid lake as if the water body has a soul. In its silent water, white swans glide. This image gives a peaceful mood in the poem. By quoting the phrase "wiring from the break," that alludes the Pope's best known work, Windsor Forest. The Pope's works peasants spring from the thicker. Hence, here the beautiful peacock spring by wearing their beautiful tail. By using this image, the poet adds the essence of Indians into this piece. She goes and depicts of the rich patches of grains gleaming in the sunlight. Their heads are waving for the wind. There are some strange altars from which the bluish smoke reflects light. In this beautiful place, the poet anchorite resides peacefully. The term poet anchorite is a reference to the mythological character as well as poet herself. Now let's line 12 to 15. See line 12 to 15. But who is this fair lady? Not in time. She weeps for lo. At every tear she sheds. Tears from three pairs of young eyes fall on mine, and bowed in sorrow are the three young heads. In the first line of this section, the poetic persona rhetorically asks, who is this fair lady? Fair lady means she does not provide a direct answer here. So the term poet anchorite can be interpreted as a reference to both Sita and Toru. They were in a similar condition. The former is a sad woman turned down by her husband. So while the latter had moved out of the country for higher education, so that was a kind of self-imposed exile. So the poet again goes back to her story and says that the lady does not give him well. Her sad story has also made the children sad. The more they listen, they listen to the pain of Sita, the more tears fall down from their innocent eyes. So their heads bow in the sorrow of goddess suffering. Now let's see the lines 16 to 20. It is an old story, and the lake which has evoked the sad Sita from the past. It's by a mother's son. It's hushed across and melts the picture from their sight away. Yet shall they dream of it until the day. It is in the following line that uses another philology in an old story to emphasize how old the tale was. It was impregnated into the folk culture a long time ago. So the story of Sita is still told in Indian households as a bedtime story. That discloses the main idea of the poem in the following line. She says that the mother of those three kids was telling this story. Her art of storytelling is so rich that it evoked sad Sita from the pages of history. Here, The poet is alluding to her own mother. At the end of the line is by the mother's son. The poet uses an ellipsis in order to tell readers that the story is sung by mothers from several households. As long as the culture survives, the story will be told by Indian mothers to their children. This device is also used to mock in transitions in the text. In the following section, the speaker says that the story has entered. It quickly melts the pictures of sad Sita away from their minds. However, the kids will be dreaming about her until they wake up the next morning. Lines 21 to 22. When shall those children by their mother's side gather and me, arrest at Yavantai? In the last two lines, that was a rhetorical question ended. Like our previous invocations, as a purpose to serve in this case, the lines hit at the subjective side of the story. Here, the poet was when those children gathered by their mother's side to listen to the tale of Sita. She answers, a me. It means she is actually talking about herself. Long before, in her childhood days, she used to gather around her mother along with her siblings, Aru and Arju, to listen to them. That's a poem. Sita presents the characters of three happy children at the beginning of the poem. There are listening to the story of Sita, second exile to the hermitage of Valmiki from their mother. While listening to the tale, they become so engrossed in it that they even visualize the surroundings of the character. According to the speaker, the poet encouraged the summers a dense forest where the sunlight is as he enters. So in the center, there is a clear spot where she is sitting. So around her, there are tall trees and lucid lake where which swans glide. In the following lines, the poet goes on the depict the landscape and at the end of her description. She tells readers about the unhappy fate of Sita. Listening to her painful story, the children also start crying. That says the impact of the story is going to stay with them until the next morning. In the end, she asked about when those children sat around their mother to listen to the story. In reply, she clarifies that those children are none other than Dutt herself and her siblings Aru and Arju. Sita is composed of 22 lines that are grouped into a single stanza. This poem contains a regular rhyme scheme and meter. Besides, it is written loosely in the ballad style, but its structure does not resemble the form. The subject matter is in consonance with this poetic form that uses the third person narrative scheme throughout the piece, while in the last two lines, she asks a rhetorical questions in first person, making this piece on the rhetorical questions. Rhyme scheme. This poem is written using an alternative rhyme scheme. There is not any fixed rhyming pattern in the text. It changes according to the mood of the text. In the first 12 lines that uses the A.B.B.A. rhyme scheme, it means these lines can be grouped into three quatrains. In each quatrain, the first and last line and the second and third lines rhymes together. Poetic devices and figurative languages uses by Toru. Toru's poem Sita contains the following literary devices that makes the speaker's feeling more engaging. Allusions. The title of this piece is on allusions to the mythical goddess and heroine of Ramayana, one of the Hindu epics that especially alludes to the story of Sita's second exile told in Uttarakhand. So there is also an allusion to Alexander Pope's Windsor Forest. Rhetorical explanations. This piece begins with this device. It is in the second, 12th and the last lines. Pallilogy. It occurs in a dense forest and on old story. The repetitions of the same. I mean, the dense forest and on old story. It is the repetitions of the same word. It is used for the sake of emphasis, personification. It occurs in where no sunbeam strikes. Here, the sun is personified with the idea of prying into someone's affairs. So it is also present in gigantic flowers and creepers that impress. Anaphora. It occurs in lines 7 to 11. In the first three, that uses the at the beginning. The following lines begin with that. Metaphor. In this poem, readers can find the metaphor in the term poet anchorite. Here, Sita is compared to one anchorite or secular priestess. The term poet is used to connect the poet with the mythological character. That also lived outside her country for a long time. That's why she compared herself to an anchorite. Besides, the line unmelts the picture from their sight away, contains another metaphor. Here, the picture of weeping Sita is compared to something that melts away. Sita's theme of Sita. That poem resolves under the themes of solutions, longing, patriotism, and childhood nostalgia. Likewise, readers can find all these themes in this poem, Sita. It also taps the poem for the themes of myth and childhood. In the first two lines, this theme is an action that describes children's abstract phrases while they listen to the mythical story of Sita. So the following lines dwell deeper into the themes of myth, the beauty of the Indian solutions, longing, and grief. In this poem, that depicts how the character's sadness impacted her when she was a child. While she wrote this poem, she also felt the same as Sita felt being detached from her husband Rama. Let's say the short question answer of Sita. Who is the poem about? The poem Sita is about the mythological character Sita, the wife of Lord Ram. Second question, how many children listen to the story? The answer is 3 children are listening to the story, the poet and the brother and the sister. Third question, who dwells in the forest? The answer is Valmiki, the poet anchorite dwells in peace in the forest. Fourth question, what is the color of the swans which are seen gliding in the lake? The color of the swans which are seen gliding in the lake is white. Fifth question, who is the narrator of the story? The answer is the poet's mother is the narrator of the story. Sixth question is, what is prevents the sunlight from entering the place? The dense forest prevents sunlight from entering the place. Third question, name the birds and animals mentioned in the poem. The birds and animals mentioned in the poem are white swans, peacock, and deer. Eighth question, where the children sitting? The answer is the children are sitting in a darkened room. Ninth question, whose heads are bowed in sorrow? On listening to the sad story of Sita, the heads of the poet and her brother and her sister are bowed in sorrow. Tenth question, who is the poet anchorite referred to in the poem Sita? The answer is Valmiki is referred to as the poet anchorite. 11th question, where are the 3 happy children? The 3 happy children are sitting in a darkened room. 12th question, name the birds and animals mentioned in Toru's poem. The birds and animals mentioned in the poem are white swans, peacocks, and deer. The 13th question is, from where does the blue smoke rise in Sita? The answer is, blue smoke rises from the scared actors near the dwelling of the poet's anchorite. Thank you.